Hello, my name is Kalea and welcome back to my channel. This is my 12th knitting podcast and it's been kind of a while since I last did a podcast. I've been really busy with school and I did knit for a while, but sometimes I would take a break and so I didn't really have anything to show. But now as school is kind of winding down and sometimes I guess when I do get really busy, I do start to knit more because it's a way to relieve stress for me. So I did end up knitting quite a bit and I have a lot to share now. I've also been thinking about making a what I knit in 2025 video, but I've tried filming it once and I felt like I just didn't really have anything to say or add that was very interesting compared to what I've already mentioned before in previous podcasts. So whether I'll make one or not, I'm not really sure, but maybe I'll keep my options open. I'll try refilm it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I have a lot to share today. I have four finished objects and a few whips. So yeah, I'm going to start off with my finished objects. The first finished object is actually what I'm wearing today. It's my Peacock Cardigan by Les Knit. And I made it with Onling number 4 and 10. So it's their merino and their soft silk mohair, which is basically like knitting for all of merino with their mohair. But I'd say that the Onling number 4, which is the merino, is ever so slightly, a little bit thicker than the knitting for all of one. I wouldn't really say it's a light fingering, more like a true fingering, almost no, I wouldn't call it a sport weight, but a little bit more plush than a regular fingering weight yarn. And I knit this up using 4mm needles. The way it's constructed is you start off with the collar, so you do a Italian cast on, I believe, and then you work down. It's like a yoke cardigan, and then there is a little bit of raglan shaping here for the underarm area, and then you split for the sleeves and then just make a stockinette body. I would say about the yarn, I'm really happy with the yarn combination. I find that it's just as soft as the knitting for all merino plus the mohair, if not possibly softer and more plush in my opinion, but I think they're pretty comparable. It's about the same. I did have a few issues, but this is not a reflection at all on the pattern or the designer because this was all my fault. The first problem that I ran into is I had a horrible yarn miscalculation twice. So the first time was I didn't realize that the yardage or the meterage, I guess both, are different than the knitting for all of merino. I thought since it's about the same gram, I forget. Maybe it's a little bit less, but I thought it was about the same meterage, but I was truly mistaken and it was missing quite a few, I don't know how much, a full ball basically, because I had miscalculated the meterage. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna just reorder it. And mind you, Onling is from Denmark, so shipping it to where I am in Japan is not cheap. It's definitely, I think it would cost more if I shipped it to the US where I also live. So because of the tariffs and things, so that was a positive side. But then I got it shipped. I was like, I don't need the mohair, because then I calculated the mohair just to make sure I was correct. And it's about the same meterage as the knitting for all. So I was like, okay, it's fine. Everything will be good. And then, so I get the yarn for the merino and I'm making it. And then I'm literally at the edge of the sleeve, the second sleeve. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's not enough mohair. What am I gonna do? This is horrible. And so I was like, oh, maybe I can make it last, because I couldn't really tell how much. Sometimes you think you have a lot and then you end up having very little, and then sometimes you think you have way little but it lasts a really long time. I think I'm just terrible at telling. So it's maybe I can make it last. I'm working on the first button band. I run out basically. I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to order from them again. I was like, oh, that's so expensive. I think I'll just try to find a very similar mohair. But then I was like, I've spent all this money and all this time on this cardigan. I feel like I should just see it out to the end, and if say I did get a different color and then it ends up looking really funky, I'm not gonna end up wearing it. So all that work and all that money for what's the point? I'm not gonna wear it, right? So I ended up repurchasing the yarn, the mohair, and so I buy it, and then a few weeks pass, which is like completely normal. I mean, it's from out of the country, so it's gonna take a little bit longer. And then I'm like, I look at it on the like email website thing, the tracking service, and it says return to shipper or return to sender. I was like, wait, what? Like, what happened there? Because I've ordered from them before to send it to my house, and I was like, I'm not really sure what's going on there. And so I emailed them, I'm like, hey, like, I think my package got returned to you. I'm not sure what's going on. And they're super nice. I've had wonderful experiences with them so far, and they're like, yeah, so I think we'll wait till we can see what the problem is and then we'll resend it. So eventually I get this email from FedEx saying that there's a package coming from them. I'm like, oh yes, this is exciting. And so it leaves the country. I'm like, okay, it'll be here soon then. And then it goes to, this is like the funniest part. It goes to France first, and then from France it went to Saudi Arabia, and then from Saudi Arabia it went to China, and then to Japan. So I was like, wow, like, I don't really know. It was just a whole saga, but eventually yarn came. And then this story from this cardigan never ends. But I get the yarn. I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna finish the button bands today. I'm gonna complete the cardigan. I'm so excited. I want to get this done. And so I am using this stitch count. This is also as well about the construction. This is I am going on a bit of a tangent, but I'm making the button band, and then I do a Italian bind off, the one where you do the setup rows. And so I'm doing the bind off and I complete it, and I'm like, this is like way too tight. You know when it's like scrunched up this, I'm like, I feel like this is not gonna block out. It's just way too tight. And I wanted it to look the same as like the collar, because you know if you space it out too much, it'll look more stretched out. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna redo it. It'll be fine. I have a bunch of yarn now for excess, just for the button bands. I can do it. And so I decide I'm going to cut the part, the like cast off part. I was like, okay, it'll be fine. Then I'll unravel it, because I'm no way I'm going and undoing every single stitch of the bind off, because it's mohair and I just like can't deal with that right now. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna cut it. And then I cut it. I'm like, it's not coming undone. Like, what the heck did I do wrong? And so I was so impatient. I started cutting closer and closer to the body, and I was like, it'll be fine. Like, I know where it is. I cut the body. And so what ended up happening was I have this little area, and I decided to pick up stitches farther in. So I don't know if you can see the part where everything went on. I've kind of fixed it, sort of, but I just picked two or three stitches farther in on both sides. And I mean, you really can't tell, but it like really spooked me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to redo this entire body. This is horrible. But hey, like, I made it out to the very end, and I think it's fine. So lesson learned, do not cut too close to the body. Even if you think you're cutting in the right spot, be like triple sure. I should have been triple sure, but I was getting impatient. So that happened. The fit overall, I really like it. I think it's a really good color, one that I can use with a lot of different shirts that I own. I usually wear a lot of light blue, light pink shirts, so this is perfect for that. I also added a crochet chain or slip stitch chain to the inside here to reinforce the collar, because I found that it was like sagging down a lot, and I'm not exactly sure how much that's helped with the cardigan itself, but it definitely won't stretch out any further, so I think it's okay. Overall, I really enjoyed the experience of knitting this for the most part, except for the two like big happenings that I had. Otherwise, it was really smooth sailing, and I didn't really know if I was gonna like a yoke cardigan, but from this experience, or the fit of it, I really do like it, and I'd definitely be curious to try some of her other patterns, especially the other cardigans that she has. I know there's another one that's pretty similar to this one, and I think about making it. Or maybe I'll wait till she releases like a new one eventually, and I'll make that because I really enjoyed it. I think that's all I have to say for this one. My next finished project are my Kitten Catch Mittens by Florence Miller. Also, she's on YouTube at Handmade by Florence. These are the colorwork mittens, and I used Bc Garn Bio Shetland, I believe. And I used 2.25 needles to make the cuff here, and then 2.5 for the color work. It's constructed, you just cast on Latvian braid, some corrugated rib, and then you've got the main color work as well as a thumb gusset, and then this thumb here, which you add on later with a little fish color work. I really liked making these. It was so much fun. It was a really easy pattern to follow, except for the thumb area, the thumb chart for like picking it up. Like, it kind of confused me the first time I read it, and it took me a while to figure out, but eventually I got it. It was totally fine, and it was smooth sailing from there, but that was the only part that really caught me off guard. And so I've made other color work mittens before, but with like thumb gussets as well, so I'm not sure if it was just this pattern or maybe I wasn't in, I don't know, maybe I was really tired that day, but I couldn't figure it out until I did, but it was fun after that. These fit my hands really perfectly. I'll put them on. Something that I really like about this pattern is I've made Latvian mittens, or one Latvian mitten, and another my Augustins like mitten before, and while I do really enjoy those, I think the knitting experience with this one was the best because of the gauge. It's the perfect amount of like dense but still loose enough that it's a really enjoyable knit and not too hard on the hands. So this is what they look like, and they fit my hands perfectly. I took this on a trip actually recently to Busan in South Korea, and it was really cold. It was like, I guess maybe to other people it wasn't very cold, but for me it was like 20 degrees, 20 something, 25 degrees Fahrenheit with wind, and that was pretty cold. Like that was probably the coldest it got, but you know, it was really nice to have these cute little mittens. And I really couldn't stop looking at my hands and like wiggling my fingers because the little fish, I thought they were so cute. Yeah, I am thinking about making another pair, maybe for my mom, but we'll see. I do find that this yarn is not my favorite. I've used another brand of shetland before. I don't remember what it was called, but it was for my Latvian mittens, and I much prefer that yarn. One, because it's softer, and two, because it doesn't like break. This yarn, I found that on 2 or 3 separate occasions it broke on me. Maybe I'm pulling too hard, but the problem was, I don't really mind if it breaks. It was just impossible to like felt back together. It just would not felt back together, which I found really odd because usually most yarns are able to do that. Other than that, I do have, it is pilling a little bit, ever so slightly, but I'm not too, you know, upset with that. You can just depill it pretty easily, and they look very woolly and cute, and I'm super happy with them. Yeah, like I said, I probably maybe do like a white and some sort of contrast color. I've been making things that are almost all neutral lately, and I really feel like I need some color back because, I don't know, I really do like neutrals because they go with everything, but sometimes having a little bit of color makes things, you know, more interesting, and I'm feeling a little bit bored now because of all this neutral. But anyways, totally would recommend. So much fun. The next finished object that I have is my joy scarf, which looks like this. It's a pattern by Onling, and I knit it with drops lima on 4mm needles. And the way it's constructed is you start off at one end like a triangle scarf, but this one you cast on and then do double knitting for a little bit and then increase, and then just use a scarf and then have a little bit of a flat in the middle, and then start to decrease and then do the same double knitting on the other side and bind off. I was actually reached out to by Onling. This was now like months and months ago. And they gifted me this pattern, so I guess like sort of sponsored, but like not, because they didn't tell me to like talk about it or anything. And with this pattern, I don't believe they're running it anymore, and it was just a 2025 thing, and I'm way too late in making this video, but they did donate part of the proceeds to the Mental Health Foundation of Denmark, which I thought was really cool. Definitely an advocate for mental health, and I think knitting is so great for mental health, and it's definitely helped mine personally. And yeah, it was just a really fun pattern. I think my favorite part was these double knitted ends, and then this double knit section down the middle. It just makes it that much like a little bit interesting, that differentiates it from like the Sophie scarf, and I think just makes it a little bit more unique, and I haven't really heard anyone talking about it, and I definitely recommend this pattern. I think the way, at least the way that I wore it, is you just take the big part and then put it like that, and then you can tie it in the front. I kind of look ridiculous now, but like it's really soft and I think it looks really great. I do have other leftover yarns that I definitely think about using to make another one possibly. I think it could be really fun. I do believe it took me like maybe two and a little bit more skeins to make this. I can't exactly remember, but I personally really enjoy this, and you could definitely make it longer or shorter, or even maybe gauge down and then make more of like a Sophie scarf. I feel like that'd be really cute too, like a mini scarf with the double knitted edges. I feel like that'd be really cool. Other than that, I don't really have much to say about this knit other than I really enjoy it, and I actually haven't gotten to wear this that much because it's not that cold outside, so I'm looking forward to the day I can, when it's very cold, and I actually bring this with me because sometimes I forget. So yeah. The last finished object that I have is this Prosta Hat. Is that how you say it? Prosta Hat by Rat and Sea Witch. And I think she's a Polish designer, and I thought this pattern was really cute. It's supposed to have duplicate stitch designs or stripes, and my hat has none of those, and that is because I closed the hat before I realized that I was supposed to do the duplicate stitch, and so it's very plain. But I made this on 3.5mm needles using drops Fabel for the brown double stranded, then drops Nord and the leftover Bio Shetland from my Kitten Catch Mittens to make this cream color. The hat is constructed like other beanies, I guess, where you knit this like big tube and then stick the inside into the other one, so it is reversible. I definitely did a few miscalculations when making this hat because, one, I definitely should have made the larger size because this is too small for my head, unless I'm off gauge, which I haven't really checked. And then I was starting to run out of the white or the creamish colored yarn, so then I made it shorter, and then I made the brown part shorter, which I probably should have just made it extra long. I don't know what I was thinking. So the hat is a lot shorter than I think it should be, and it doesn't really fit too well, so I'm not gonna put it on camera. But other than that, I think it looks like a really cute beanie, one that you could definitely buy in a store. And I wish I did the duplicate stitch pattern, but I didn't read the instructions carefully like I do sometimes, and I didn't realize that you were supposed to do the duplicate stitch like halfway through the second part and then block it, or sorry, you block it halfway finished, then you do it, and then you finish, and then you reblock it. So I think I kind of gave up once I realized that it wouldn't really fit my head very well. So it's okay. I might gift it to my dad because I think he wants a hat, and I feel like this would fit his head because I think it is smaller than mine, or it might be better shaped for this hat. I did try aggressively blocking it. I might give it another shot at home when I go back because I do have the blocking mats, so hopefully more successfully I could stretch it out as much as possible to try to make it fit. But I think the more you try to stretch it out, the more like wonky it kind of ends up looking, so we'll see. Other than that, I'd totally recommend the pattern. There's so many different options to choose from, whether you want stripes on the hat, duplicate stitch, and there's endless, like, any pixel art you find online, you could totally just add it to this hat, which is really cool. And I've seen a lot of people in Ravelry, I can't even say that word, Ravelry, use a bunch of different patterns that they've created, and I think it's really cool. So definitely give that a shot if you like kind of like Arc'teryx beanie sort of style. I think you would totally enjoy this. So that was my last finished object, and now I'm gonna go into a few whips that I have, and I do have 2 new whips, so this is actually pretty exciting. The first whip is not a new whip though. This whip I feel like I've had on my needles for forever, which is probably the case because I've had it on for so long, but it's my Northern Augustins number 7. Now, I have made actual progress though. This is what it looks like. This is a pattern by Sophie Velling or Augustins DK, and I used Senna's Garden Sunday with Drops Kid Silk, and I did it on 4mm needles. I have now done the sleeve and cuff part like several times because I couldn't get it right. I think if I were to make this again from the beginning, I'd possibly do decreases along the sleeves because I don't like a balloon sleeve. But then thinking about it, it's like I don't want it to look kind of wonky on the underside, so I don't know. But I ended up for this cuff part, and I did a mid-project block, so this sleeve, the color work is blocked and this cuff isn't. So imagine it kind of goes like this. I think it'll look better. But instead of doing a decrease for 1 row and then going straight to the cuff, I did 3 rounds of, I did 1 round of every 4 stitches I did a decrease, and then a plain row, and then 1 more time with the 4, and then a decrease, I believe. And then that was on 3.5mm needle, so I went down to 0.5, and then I went down to 3mm for the cuff. So this is what it ends up looking like. I just kind of wanted like a taper instead of like a balloon type sleeve, so hopefully it'll block out completely once I do that. And I also wanted a cuff that is more fitted to my arm because I think, I don't know, I don't really like it all floppy, and I find that like a lot of garments that I have that are like, you know, ready to wear garments, a lot of the sleeves are pretty long and I tend to not wear those because of that. My arms are pretty short, so I think one of the advantages of making your own clothes is that you can make it however long you want. And so I'm taking advantage of that by making the sleeve really short. Honestly, it might be too short now. I had to go back like maybe this much or so, like 1.5 inches, 2 inches on the color work because it was just too long once I blocked it, so I fixed that. But now I'm working on the other side, so this color work, and I think it's working really well. I've tried it on a few times and the fit is really great. It's more of a tight-ish fitting sweater with a little bit of positive ease. I think my gauge is off. I'm not exactly sure. I'm pretty sure it is because I remember sizing up a size than I normally would, so I'm making like the 3rd size instead of the 2nd size, I believe. And yeah, I think it's working out well so far. I was a little worried that the collar would stretch out way too much, but I find that I feel like it's perfectly sitting on my body now with the collar, so good luck for me. For the pattern itself, I find that it was pretty easy to follow. It's not that complicated though, in the sense that it's mostly just following the color work charts and it's like a steady increased yoke. It's nothing too fancy. I guess it may look complicated, but I'd say this is actually a pretty easy project. It's just the sticking with it to the end, because it does get a little bit tedious, but I find that I feel like I found the flow with this print color work. Like, I've got it totally memorized, and I just like, I can do it without thinking about it now, so that is really nice. And yeah, I'm really hoping I can get this done soon. I ended up running out of the white Sunday yarn, so I ended up reordering that, and I'm not really worried about the color or the lot dyes or whatever, because, you know, it's just like a cream color, and then plus the mohair plus the color work, no one will be able to tell. It'll be totally fine. Yeah, other than that, I feel like I don't have that much to say about it, other than I'm really excited for it to be done. Yeah, actually I might go back and lengthen this ribbing if I have enough yarn, or I'm thinking, I don't know, let me know what you think. Yeah, I might make it the white yarn. I feel like that'd be kind of cool, like a little bit of contrast, but it also might look kind of weird, so I don't know, we'll see. Because I'll definitely have a lot of the white yarn left over, and I can make the ribbing a lot longer, so something to think about. Anyways, that was my first whip, and a whip that has always been a whip basically, but the next two whips are actually new ones, so it's very exciting. I have the first one in this little bag that I made a while ago, and it is, oh, I was like in the middle of a row. It's my Sophie knit by Skall Studio, and this is a pattern by Skall Studio, and I'm making it on 4.5 millimeter needles with heavy merino and soft silk mohair from Knitting for Olive. And I think the heavy merino is in Marzipan, and the soft silk mohair is in Cloud. The pattern is one that is seamed, so it's actually, you make the back panel first, and then the front panel all work flat, and you'll seam it, I think, at the very end after you add the sleeves on the side, which are worked in the round. Yeah, I've heard a little bit of controversy along that like pattern, and people being a little upset that I was like that. I definitely have a few gripes with the pattern myself. I don't think that it's very well written. I don't really mind, I guess, that it's very vague and a lot of it's up to you to figure out, but I think for the price that they're selling it for, it probably should have had a little bit more information. The charts you kind of have to like think about on your own a little bit. I'm obviously not that far into the pattern yet. It's got this lattice stitch, a cable, and some seed stitch. There's only 2 sizes, which is not great. It is a very oversized pattern, so, you know, I think in their mind maybe they're thinking it could fit more people, but I do believe, you know, there should be more extended size range, but, you know, that's, I guess, the only sizes that they made. Yeah, overall I'm having a really fun time making this pattern. I just don't know if I would recommend it for someone who's never made a cable knit before or read a chart. I think it would be really helpful to make something of a designer like Petite Knit, or someone who has a lot of pretty well explained patterns for how to go about making a cabled knit. But I definitely think if you've made a cable knit before, I think you should be able to get through this pattern no problem. But obviously I haven't gotten to the end yet, so I'm not really sure myself. This yarn combination I'm also really liking. I've never used the heavy merino with their mohair before, so yeah, I feel like it's a lot softer than I imagined, because I've heard people say that the heavy merino isn't that soft, but paired with the mohair I feel like it's pretty soft. I'm actually a little disappointed in this color, because this is almost the exact color of my Dagmar jacket. I think I originally thought that the Marzipan was less gray and more cream, but I think it ended up being more gray than cream, so it's okay. I know that the color will work for me, so I'm gonna keep it and it'll be fine and I'll still like it, but you know, that's okay. For next time I'll use a different color. Yeah, I feel like I don't have anything else much to say about this, because I haven't really done all that much, but I'm really enjoying it. The last whip that I have is another rat and sea witch pattern, which is the I'm really gonna butcher this, Przelotki gloves. They are a fingerless glove pattern, and I'm using Knitting for Olive merino and soft silk mohair in the color soft blue, I believe, cool blue, something blue, and it is like this grayish blue color. I am really liking it so far. You cast on like a sock basically and then go up, and then I'm working on the thumb increases currently. Super cute and super easy. I feel like it'll go with a lot of clothes that I have, and I'm really excited to have a pair of fingerless gloves so that I can use like my fingers while I'm, you know, wearing them still, because with mittens obviously you have to take your like fingers out of the mitten, which I find kind of annoying. I guess I could make the flip top ones, but I don't know, sometimes I don't really want to think about it. But one thing that I will say is that I accidentally did, I think I've done one extra repeat on every single row. I miscounted once and then I kept going, so there's like one there. I guess the lace is one row farther apart than I think it should be, but I don't think it really matters, and honestly if I didn't notice till now, it's probably fine. It's just a tube and it doesn't affect the increases at all, so it doesn't really matter, and I think it still looks great. I'm super excited. I feel like this color would even goes really well with this this like brown color. Ooh, yes. But yeah, that's completely my fault. Nothing in the pattern's fault. There are a lot of explanations for different concepts, and like a whole page on like what to block if you want to do a gauge swatch. I didn't do a gauge swatch because I like living on the edge like that, I guess, and not doing any gauge swatches. I guess up to you if you want to do a gauge swatch or not. I think mostly I've seen a lot of people use this combination for it, so I'm like, it's probably fine if I use the same. And I mean, I've tried it on a few times. It's just a tube, so you know, it's perfectly fine. I do find this like combination of the mohair and the merino kind of softer than, I have a brown Alex hood as well, and I think this is softer than that, so not really sure what that's about, but I really enjoy it, and hopefully I'll have enough leftovers to like make something else maybe. I don't know, probably not, but we'll see. So that about does it for all the finished objects that I have today and whips. I would do acquisitions, but mostly I just got a bunch of yarn from Knitting for Olive, which is already in the projects that I've shown today, so not much on that end. Yeah, hopefully I'll be back soon with another video sooner than later, but you never know, and I will make a video when I have enough things to show, and so that it's more interesting, even if that's like a month away. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye!